Well, Endocrine Connection is an initiative by the European Society of Endocrinology and the Society for Endocrinology in Britain to establish a completely new journal within endocrinology.
Endocrine Connections is an entirely new concept, completely online, which has totally free access. So that means one pays for submission, obviously on acceptance. From that point onwards, once accepted, it's published online, totally free access to anyone, anywhere in the world who has connection to the internet.
It aims towards the crossroads or the cross sections where all the various disciplines interested in endocrinology are meeting.
So it will include both basic, clinical and translational research, but it will also cover areas that are connected to endocrinology, because endocrinology now is becoming a very wide field. So Endocrine Connections has this aim to include research which covers the connections of endocrinology with other disciplines as well.
You know, endocrinology is all around us. It's in cancer biology, it's in inflammation and cytokine signaling, it's in obviously obesity and diabetes. And the idea that we can use the title of the journal to hopefully extend to other disciplines, you know, and encourage submissions from all sorts of different walks of life, but with a very much endocrine basis, I think was crucial.
One can ask, why should one have a brand new journal? I think there are three major features about this. First of all, we all know main access now is online. Everybody goes straight online. If you go to the major libraries, you rarely see any books anymore. So it's critical that that's where we hit an endocrine audience. Secondly, I think the people who are paying, the general public, need to have access to what's going on. As a clinician, I know increasingly my patients hit the internet as soon as anything is diagnosed as wrong. So we must have free access, not only for the general public in westernized countries, but also in the emerging parts of the world. There are many endocrinologists and clinicians who don't have ready access to journals. And thirdly, I think it's important that suddenly we have a journal that intercommunicates with lots of different areas, and it's not tightly focused on one very small area. So it incorporates everything which we now understand as endocrinology.
Across the world, we have found people who want to work with us as senior editors within every field and subspecialty of endocrinology, from pediatric endocrinology to the endocrinology of the senescence. We are publishing with speed, so the minute, literally, the minute your manuscript is accepted, it's accessible. It will then be edited further on, but the manuscript as such will be accessible at the time of acceptance. And then within a month's time, replaced by a proper edited article in that same space.
So any author with interesting novel data knows that very quickly they'll know whether it's accepted or not. If it's accepted, very quickly it'll go online, and finally the target audience throughout the world will immediately have access to that information.
The editing process today are completely different than in the past, and people use the internet, and the paper journal really will disappear in maybe 5–10 years.
It's a very reasonable price to publish compared with other open access journals. The standard price is £700 per article, which most authors will pay in colour figure fees or page charges, and then their work won't be publicly available. In terms of endocrinology, this is the first big journal branded and by societies, owned by societies, with that quality stamp, with a unique scope, with the interdisciplinary nature.
So I think the future of publishing has to be online, and the future, at least in endocrinology, has to be the interconnections with all the other various disciplines. I mean, for example, orthopedics might be seen to be the last bastion of pure surgical medicine, but we know that the brain talks to the bone talks to brain. So even areas which as distant from classical endocrinology as bones and surgery of bones will clearly have connections and research relevant and germane to a whole lot of different people. So I think the generalist journal, which accesses that very wide market, if you like, I think will have a future. And of course, one will have to wait and see, one will have to look for impact factors, but I will be very surprised if a journal like Endocrine Connections in 10–15 years isn't seen to be a brand leader in that area.